This is the beginning and the end of the video. This is a sample of duvet cover, pillow shams. Here's the duvet cover. So make your own custom duvet cover and pillow shams with piping or cording. I like to use buttons for a finished detail. So this is button, my pillow shams. The other shams are just trimmed with a ribbon or tape. And of course the other pillows are fuzzy fur knitted pillows. Queen size. Fun to do. Alright, I want to show you how to make a duvet cover. A duvet cover is really a big pillow sham. So how you have a pillow sham and it have like this little button closure on one side. It's all cute, little decorative finish. This is a big, giant sort of a pillow sham. So the only thing that's a problem with doing it is because it's so big. So I want to do a duvet cover for my bed, and I picked a very casual fabric. It's 100% cotton. So I washed my fabric already in case it shrink, because that's the way I want to care for it. I wanted to go ahead and shrink before I cut it out. So for my duvet cover, I need 6 yards of fabric because I need the length of a comfort cover, and then I need the width, and then I seamed them together. You never put a seam in the middle. So it's a seam on either side of the center, and I stitched the pattern so it just looked like a continuous stripe. So then I take these two, so it's like 2 cut lengths. We know that this is 54 is upholstery fabric, 54 and 54 is 108, and then the width of my comfort is only 80 inches, so you know I got to cut some off the sides. But I take them in and line up the seams together and then cut the extra fabric off. Now here's my extra fabric. So my extra fabric I cut out. I'm going to make my band go across the bottom. And you can see here, I already put my buttonholes on my bottom, on my band. So on the other side, if I have a duvet cover, of course it's a pillowcase, I need a top and a bottom. So I said, okay, Jackie, this is what you do. Get your sheet. So I got me a queen size sheet instead of trying to seam together lining. And I'm going to use my sheet as my lining. So my top sheet is going to be the lining of my duvet cover. And the only challenge for sewing this together is the fact that it's so big. It's very easy. It's like sewing a rectangle, but it is big. So then if I took my sheet and fold it in half and find my center, then I would pin my center. This way I make sure all my pieces match up exactly the same, because I don't want to clip it and notch it. And so my duvet here. And then if I had a pattern, this here telling me that this is up. So this is the top of the fabric, the arrow going up. It say up. So that's the way I'm going to sew it together and make sure all my parts are going up. In case the fabric have a sheen or something on it I'm unaware of, I really don't see or recognize. But I don't want one of them I'm sewing going up and the other one going down. If it say this is up, then we're going to follow whatever it say. Your pattern repeat, if it had a flower on it, it was going, you want to make sure that the top is the top and the bottom is the bottom. So in order to make sure I put all the pieces together correctly, then I'm going to pin it. It's big, like I said, so what I'm going to do is match these two together at the center, and then I match and pin everything from my center out. So if I line these two up together, then I line and match these up all the way to the end. In the other side, I do exactly the same thing. So this is coming out a little long, so I know that I can trim that off later. But I want to trim them off exactly the same on both ends. And make sure you don't stretch it. And the sheet, if you buy some sheets that's 100% cotton, wash it first. Better safe than sorry. Now if I match this up all the way down the side, and then I have my band, I want these to be equal, and I was pinning it in place because you know I still got to go back and trim that off. But I want to make sure it's lined up in the right place. And you can see that this sheet is shorter than the top. So here, I'm going to take my band at the bottom that I'm going to use for my buttons. Then I'm going to line these up together at the side. I already cut it to match. And this, I can either fold up and make shorter so that you can see my buttons are going to button right here, or I can bring this down and line it up so I know what I want to trim off, so then this can just stay right here, and then do the same thing button. So then all I have to do is sew it around all the corners, and then sew my buttons on, line those up and match them up, and that's it. I have a duvet cover. But what I like to do on the top, because the comforter likes to move around, is I'm going to sew Velcro on the tops, a male on one side and a female on my comforter, so it'll stay in place and not move around. So really a duvet cover is just a big giant pillowcase or a pillow sham that you sew all four sides together, but it's really big, so it's awkward. And when it gets finished, then I'll show you how to sew. Well, if you look on how to sew on a button with a shank, you'll see how to do the buttons. Okay, I have finished sewing the side seams of the duvet cover together. I put Velcro in the corners at the top of the duvet cover, and I put them on the corners of the comforter. Now, when you look at the tag on the comforter, it may say it's 80, mine is queen size. It says it's 80 by 100. So I cut the pieces of the fabric to accommodate that 80 by 100. And I showed you all where I seamed them all together. Well, I sewed everything together, and then I fitted it, and I had to make an adjustment, because you know that even though this is exactly 80 by 100, when you stretch it out, because there's feathers in there, it's air in there, and it takes up room, so you may have to make adjustments on your duvet. Now here also you can see I sewed my buttons on, and I just matched them up together, and when you flip it over, you can see it has a nice finish. I use an upholstery thread, and I did a shank on the button, so it's easy to button and unbutton. And then I took my pillow now, because I want to do the shams. So my pillow is 18 by 26 is a standard, 18 by 30 is a queen, and 18 by 36 is a king. And I measured it, and then I cut me a pattern. I made a pattern, a template. This pattern is for standard, is 18 by 26, a standard size, and I want to take my stripe and make a miter. So I drew out the entire pattern, and then I mark my lines. It's from corner to corner to corner, all the lines. And then I drew a grain line on it, so you can see the grain lines from end to end. And this is my template, and then I extracted the pattern from it. So here's my pattern piece. So for 2 pillow shams, I need to cut 4 of this pattern piece and 4 of this pattern piece. And then I'll show you later how to sew them together, so you know how to make the pattern. You can see that this came from here. I'll show you like this. And this piece came out of there. So those are my 2 pattern pieces. You may want to mark a knot somewhere, so when you join them together, they line up perfectly. But I want 4 of these and 4 of these, because I'm doing 2 pillow shams, and then I want a piece for the back. And you make the back overlap, and you can make a button whichever way you like. And then I show you what it all looks like finished on the bed when all is said and done. Okay, see you later. Okay, we're going to make some piping. In order for me to I want to take this and figure out how how wide I need to cut my strips. So I just take this and wrap it around the cord first, and then figure out whatever my seam allowance is. I'll put a pin there and measure that, and then times 2 plus the depth of my cording. And usually it come in a package, it tell you it's 3/8 inch wide or whatever, and that's how I determine the width. Then I want to cut them all on a 45-degree angle and sew them on a 45-degree angle so that this seam is not on top of itself. It makes a big old lump. Look, these will never meet each other because they're all on a 45-degree angle. Now, how do I find my 45-degree angle? If this was straight, all I have to do is take it and fold it on a 45 and cut it, and then look, I have a true 45-degree angle. So all of these are set up, stitched together on a 45-degree angle. All I did was measure around my entire pillow sham, so I know how long I need to make all of my pieces. I joined all of them together so I can just make my piping. I'm going to use a zipper foot. I'm going to fold it over, and I'm going to stitch as close as possible to the piping or the cording. You can do a long stitch. Some people stitch this on simultaneously to the pillow, and you can do that. Now, I cut this on a 45-degree angle because I want the stripes, you know, to be different. I don't want them all to be horizontal or vertical, so I wanted this on the bias. But you don't have to make your piping on the bias. If it's not any curved seams, you can just make it on the lengthwise grain line or the crosswise grain line. It doesn't make a difference. But if it's curves or circle, you have to do it on the bias, else it's not going to lay flat. So I'm going to take this, in order to put it on, I'm going to take it and line it up. That's my seam allowance. Line it up on my machine. And sew my piping on them. Make sure they stay lined up to another. Like I said, you don't have to sew it separately. I do like to sew it separately, but for demo's sake, I just want to show you. So I sew this all the way down to my corner. In order to make these miters, you can see this don't match. It's because they have to be exactly the same, else they're not going to match. So these widths were different widths, so they don't match. But when I get to my corner, I want to walk my needle down in place, and then I want to leave the needle down, take the glue together, and then turn it, make a good sharp corner. And if you like, you can clip it till I get around the corner, and then I continue to sew. And I'm going to stop here. You can see you're going to do that, and when you get to the top, you want to make them overlap. So here is a good corner. You can see it would be a nice good corner. That would be my piping. And this, I would cut part of it off and let the other end overlap. Let's see. I would make this one overlap and stitch it straight to the end, trim whatever cord necessary, and then sew the two of them together, and then I have my pillow sham. And that's your piping on a pillow sham.